Yeah, warm welcome to all of you. I present this lecture mainly for second MSc chemistry students of our college during the critical situation of COVID-19 pandemic. This topic, third law of thermodynamics, Nernst heat theorem, Gibbs-Duhem equation. These topics are present in physical chemistry 2 syllabus of our Bharatdasan University. As this lecture is based on syllabus, I want to read the syllabus first. Unit 5, Classical Thermodynamics, third law, Thermodynamics, Significance, Nernst heat theorem, and other forms of stating the third law, thermodynamic quantities at absolute zero, apparent exception to third law, thermodynamics of systems of variable composition, partial molar properties, chemical potential, relationship between partial molar quantities, Gibbs-Duhem equation and its applications. This slide shows a request to viewers. Next one is third law of thermodynamics. Third law of thermodynamics is that the entropy of all pure perfectly crystalline homogeneous substance is zero at absolute zero temperature, that is at absolute temperature. Zero temperature means 0 degree Kelvin. That is at 0 degree Kelvin. The entropy of all substance, all pure perfectly crystalline homogeneous substance is zero. Entropy is zero at absolute zero temperature. That is third law of thermodynamics. Significance of third law of thermodynamics. The significance of third law of thermodynamics is to determine absolute entropy of a system. Now delta S is equal to integral 0 to T Cp dln and in the left hand side two temperatures St minus A0, that is entropy at temperature T minus entropy at 0 degree Kelvin, and right hand side that is integral 0 to T Cp dln. Now according to third law of thermodynamics, the S0 value is 0, that is entropy of the substance at absolute 0 temperature, that is 0 value. On substituting S0 value in the above equation, S0 value that is 0. So on the equation 1 becomes St is equal to integral 0 to T Cp dln. And the value of the integral is the absolute entropy of the system. The value of the integral is obtained by plotting Cp versus ln. We get a curve. The area under the curve gives the value of the integral, that is absolute entropy of the system at a given temperature. So that is the significance of third law of thermodynamics. Using third law of thermodynamics, one can determine absolute entropy of system by considering entropy of the substance at W0 is zero value. That is the significance of third law of thermodynamics. This slide shows the variation of Cp versus ln. That is the plot of Cp versus ln. We get a curve. Under the area under the curve gives the value of the integral, that is the absolute entropy of the substance at a given temperature T. For that Cp versus ln is plotted, and the area we get a curve like this, and the area under the curve is the area of the that is the value of the integral, that is absolute entropy of the substance at temperature T degree Kelvin. So next topic is Nernst heat theorem. So Nernst found that at progressively lower temperatures, as the temperature is lowered, the change in enthalpy and change in Gibbs function, change in enthalpy symbol delta H and change in Gibbs function, that is delta G, these two values approaches each other and become more and equal. That is, before attaining the temperature of 0 degree Kelvin, these two delta G and delta H becomes equal. So this was found by Nernst, and based on this, Nernst derived two equations, and that equation is called as Nernst heat theorem. We can see in the next slide. From the above figure, we can write limit t tends to 0, dou delta G by dou T is equal to 0. As the temperature approaches 0, that line, the graph is parallel to x-axis, parallel to temperature axis. So delta G by dou T, slope, dou delta G by dou T is equal to 0. But in thermodynamics, tau delta G by dou T at constant pressure, that is equal to minus delta S. Nernst heat theorem says that as absolute zero is approached, the entropy change delta S for a chemical or physical transformation approaches zero. This can be expressed mathematically as limit T tends to zero, delta S is equal to zero. That is on substituting the second one in first one. First equation, that is limit T tends to zero, dou delta G by dou T is equal to zero. Now dou delta G by dou T is equal to delta S. So the equation becomes limit T tends to 0 and delta S is equal to 0. This equation is one of the Nernst heat theorem. Similarly, another value delta H also approach delta H as the temperature is lowered, the delta H values are parallel to x-axis, temperature axis. So limit T tends to 0, dou delta H by dou T is equal to 0. The slope is equal to 0 and therefore limit T tends to 0, dou delta H by dou T is equal to 0, but dou delta H by dou T is equal to delta Cp. Therefore limit T tends to 0, delta Cp is equal to 0. Now let this equation be 2. Now the above equations 1 and 2 are the modern statements of the theorem, Nernst heat theorem. So that is limit T tends to 0, delta S is equal to 0, limit T tends to 0, delta Cp is equal to 0. These are the two statements of the theorem, Nernst heat theorem. Now significance of Nernst heat theorem. The significance of Nernst heat theorem is that it was later used by Max Planck to give the third law of thermodynamics, which is that the entropy of all pure perfectly crystalline homogeneous substance is 0 at absolute 0 temperature, that is 0 degree Kelvin. So at absolute 0 degree Kelvin, the entropy of all pure perfectly crystalline homogeneous substance is 0. All substance is entropy of all substance at absolute 0 is 0 value at absolute 0 temperature, 0 degree Kelvin. And that statement, that is third law of thermodynamics, and the third law of thermodynamics, that is given by Max Planck by using Nernst heat theorem. That is the significance of Nernst heat theorem. Next topic is apparent exception to the third law. So entropy are of two types. There are two types of entropies. One is third law entropy, other is called as calorific or theoretical entropy. So third law entropy means that is a entropy calculated on the basis of third law of thermodynamics, that is third law entropy. Another type, statistical entropy or spectroscopic entropy. So this entropy is calculated from statistical formula using spectral data. This entropy is calculated using the formula from statistical formula. Using statistical formula, the entropy is calculated using spectral data. So in most of the cases, these two are equal. But in certain cases, like carbon monoxide, water, N2O, H2, etc., these two are not equal. For these substances at absolute 0 temperature, entropy is not equal to 0. Now entropy is a measure of disorder. So that is even at absolute, for these substances, that is even at absolute 0 temperature, there is some disorder. For these substances, statistical entropy is greater than third law entropy, otherwise calorific or theoretical entropy. So the entropy at absolute 0 temperature is called as residual entropy. According to third law of thermodynamics, residual entropy is equal to 0. That is, S0 is equal to KL and W0. So since W0 is equal to 1, probability is 1, S0, residual entropy according to third law, that is 0. A spectroscopy entropy is a sum of theoretical entropy and residual entropy. If residual entropy is equal to 0, then these two, theoretical and spectroscopy entropy, these two are equal. If residual entropy is not equal to 0, then spectroscopy entropy is not equal to theoretical. That means spectroscopy entropy is greater than theoretical entropy. So in the case of carbon monoxide, water, N2O, H2, etc., for these molecules, S0 is not equal to 0 because W0 is not equal to 1. Even at absolute zero temperature, these substances have some disorder in even at absolute zero temperature. So these molecules have some residual entropy. Each one has its own residual entropy. So these are the exception to the third law. First topic, partial molar properties. Now consider a thermodynamic property X, which is an extensive property. That is, it depends upon number of moles of constituents present in the system. And this thermodynamic property X is an extensive property which depends upon temperature, pressure, number of moles of constituents. That is given by X is equal to function of temperature, pressure P, and N1, N2, N3, etc. And N1, N2, N3 are the number of moles of constituents present in the system. On differentiating this equation, and the left hand side is dx and right hand side dou x by dou t. There are a number of variables. Therefore, partial differentiation dou x by dou t at constant pressure N1, N2, N3, etc. dt plus dou x by dou p at constant temperature N1, N2, N3, etc. dp plus dou x by dou N1 temperature at constant temperature pressure N2, N3, etc. and dN1 plus dou x by dou N2 temperature at constant temperature pressure N1, N3, not N2, N3, N4, etc. dN2 plus etc. Now at constant temperature and pressure, that dt value is 0 and dp value is 0. Therefore, this equation becomes dx at constant temperature and pressure, that is equal to dou x by dou n1 at constant temperature, pressure N2, N3, etc. There is no N1 and dN1 plus dou x by dou N2 at constant temperature, pressure N1, N3, etc. No N2 and dN2 plus etc. Now the quantity dou x by dou N1 at constant temperature, pressure N2, N3, etc. This property, this term is called as partial molar property of component 1, constituent 1. Similarly, for second component, dou x by dou N2 at constant temperature, pressure N1, N3, N4, etc. That is the partial molar property of constituent 2. And for component 3, dou x by dou N3 at constant temperature, pressure N1, N2, N4, etc. Now this property, that is a partial molar property of constituent 3. And the symbol for partial molar property in general, that is x1 bar, x2 bar, x3 bar. In general, x for ith component, the partial molar property that is given by xi bar, that is equal to dou x by dou ni at constant temperature, pressure N1, N2, N3, etc. except ni. That is a partial molar property of component I. On taking free energy G, then the property Gi bar, partial molar free energy, that is given by, that is equal to dou G by dou Ni at constant temperature, pressure N1, N2, N3, etc. That is a partial molar free energy of component I. And the partial molar free energy is otherwise called as chemical potential, and the symbol is mu I. And for if we take the thermodynamic property entropy, then Si bar, that is equal to dou S by dou Ni at constant temperature, pressure N1, N2, N3, etc. That is partial molar entropy. Similarly, we can write the partial molar volume, partial molar work function, etc. So next topic, that is Gibbs-Duhem equation. Now consider a thermodynamic property, Gibbs free energy. The symbol is G. It is an extensive property, depends on temperature, pressure, and number of moles of constituents. That is G is the function of a temperature, pressure, N1, N2, N3, etc. Now on differentiating this equation, on left hand side that is dg, and right hand side partial differentiation. There are number of variables, therefore the differentiation is partial differentiation. That is dg is equal to dou g by dou t at constant terms other than temperature dt, and plus dou g by dou p, and at constant terms other than pressure dp, and plus dou g by dou n1 at constant temperature pressure no n1 at constant n2 n3 etc dn1, plus dou g by dou n2 at constant terms other than n2 dn2 plus etc. Now at constant temperature and pressure dt is equal to 0, dp is equal to 0. Therefore the above equation becomes dg at constant temperature and pressure, that is equal to dou g by dou n1 at constant terms other than n1 dn1, plus dou g by dou n2 at constant terms other than n2 dn2 plus etc. That equation is 1. Let this equation be 1. Now the quantity dou g by dou n1 at constant temperature pressure no n1 at constant n2 n3 etc. That is called partial molar free energy, that is chemical potential of the component 1. So that equation can be written as dg at constant temperature pressure is equal to mu1 dn1 plus mu2 dn2 plus mu3 dn3 etc. That is equation number 1. Now on integrating at constant temperature, pressure and composition is also constant. Therefore on integrating Tg it becomes G. So G is at constant temperature, pressure N, capital N, that is equal to here mu1, mu2, mu3 are constant. So on integrating the right hand side, integral dn1 is equal to n1, integral dn2 that is equal to n2, integral dn3 is equal to n3. So right hand side becomes mu1 n1 plus mu2 n2 plus mu3 n3 etc. Now on differentiating at constant temperature and pressure but varying composition. Now mu1 is not, mu1, mu2, mu3 are not constants. Therefore on differentiating left hand side that is Tg at constant temperature and pressure, and the right hand side there are number of terms mu1 n1, it is considered as 2 terms, that is UV formula, 2 variables. So on differentiating UV u dv plus b du. So on differentiating mu1 n1 we get 2 terms. One is mu1 dn1 plus n1 d mu2. Next on differentiating mu2 n2, that gives mu2 dn2 n2 d mu2. Similarly third term mu3 n3, on differentiating mu3 n3 we get mu3 dn3 plus n3 d mu3 etc. This is just like differentiation of UV formula, that is u dv plus b du. So on that sense we get this equation Tg at constant temperature pressure, that is equal to mu1 dn1 plus n1 d mu1 plus mu2 dn2 plus n2 d mu2 plus mu3 dn3 plus n3 d mu3 plus etc. Okay. So now I'm taking mu1 terms first and d mu1 terms next. So we have 2 terms in 2 brackets. That is first one mu1, first bracket contains mu1 dn1 plus mu2 dn2 plus mu3 dn3 plus etc. plus, and second term in the bracket, that is n1 d mu1 plus n2 d mu2 plus n3 d mu3 plus n4 d mu4 etc. Now let this equation be 2. Now
on subtracting equation 1 from 2. 1 from 2, and both are having the same term in the left hand side. So left hand side becomes 0, and the first term of equation 2 is cancelled with right hand side of equation 1. So the second term of equation 2, that is equal to 0. That is n1 d mu 1 plus n2 d mu 2 plus n3 d mu 3 plus n4 d mu 4, etc. That is equal to 0. That can be written as simply sigma ni d mu I, that is equal to 0. Now this equation is known as Gibbs-Duhem equation. That is very simple equation, very simple derivation. For system containing two components, the equation becomes n1 d mu 1 plus n2 d mu 2 is equal to 0. For a system containing three components, n1, n2, n3, three components, number of modes of components n1, n2, n3, then the equation becomes n2 d mu 1 plus n1 d mu 1 plus n2 d mu 2 plus n3 d mu 3, that is equal to 0. For a system containing three components, the Gibbs-Duhem equation becomes n1 d mu 1 plus n2 d mu 2 plus n3 d mu 3 is equal to 0, is equal to 0. Now this is Gibbs-Duhem equation. This derivation is frequently asked in the university examination. That is very important equation, Gibbs-Duhem equation.
Next one is applications of Gibbs-Duhem equation. So there are two applications. One application is this equation is helpful in calculating partial molar quantity of a binary mixture by measuring the composition of the mixture. That is one application. Another application is this equation is helpful in calculating partial vapor pressures by calculating the total pressure. These are the two applications of Gibbs-Duhem equation. Now next topic is variation of chemical potential with the temperature. Variation of chemical potential with the temperature means that is dou mu I by dou T, and other than temperature all are constant. That is the title, variation of chemical potential. What is the value of dou mu I by dou T at constant pressure n1, n2, n3, etc. except temperature. So that is that value. What is that value? That is the topic, variation of chemical potential with the temperature. Now we know mu I, that is chemical potential, ith component, that is given by dou G by dou Ni at constant temperature, pressure n1, n2, n3, etc. Now on differentiating left hand side and right hand side with respect to temperature. So left hand side becomes dou mu I by dou T at constant pressure, not temperature, at constant pressure n1, n2, n3, that is equal to dou square right hand side differentiation, double differentiation, dou square G divided by dou Ni, that is already there. Now dou T with respect to temperature, that is a term dou T. Now let this equation be 1. Now we have a fundamental equation in thermodynamics, dG is equal to VdP minus SdT. VdP minus SdT. Now at constant pressure, this equation becomes, because dP is equal to 0, dou G by dou T at constant pressure, that is equal to minus S. Now on differentiating this equation with respect to Ni, that is number of moles of ith component, that is to change the left hand side of this equation to that of the term in the equation 1, that is dou square G by dou Ni dou T. Now we have dou G by dou T. So to change these two, double differentiation in the equation 1, so it is differentiated. This equation is on differentiating this equation with respect to Ni, that is dou square G by dou Ni dou T, and right hand side becomes minus dou S by dou Ni at constant temperature, pressure n1, n2, etc. and that is equal to minus Si bar, dou S by dou Ni at constant temperature, pressure n1, n2, n3, etc. that is Si bar. There is a minus sign, therefore minus Si bar. Now let this equation be 2. Now on comparing 1 and 2, in
equation 1, there is a term dou square G by dou Ni dou T. The same term is present in equation number 2. So on comparing 1 and 2, we get dou mu I by dou T at constant pressure N1, N2, N3, etc. That is equal to minus SI bar. That is partial molar entropy of ith component. That is variation of chemical potential with the temperature, that is equal to partial minus partial molar entropy of ith component. That is the variation of chemical potential mu I with the temperature.
So next topic, variation of chemical potential with the pressure. So mathematically that is dou mu I by dou P at constant temperature, no pressure, N1, N2, N3, etc. That is the topic. So what is the value? What is the answer for the differential term? So mu I, we know mu I is equal to dou G by dou Ni at constant temperature, pressure, N1, N2, N3, etc. and differentiating this equation with respect to pressure. So left hand side becomes dou mu I by dou P at constant temperature, no pressure term, N1, N2, N3, etc. That is equal to right hand side. That is, there is dou G by dou Ni. Now once again differentiating with respect to pressure, and right hand side becomes dou square G by dou Ni dou P. Let this equation be 1. Now we have the fundamental equation dg is equal to vdp minus sdt. Now at constant temperature T, dt is equal to 0. Therefore, the equation becomes dou G by dou P at constant temperature, that is equal to volume. Now on changing this equation is become the double differential term in the equation 1. So on differentiating with respect to Ni, that becomes dou square G by dou Ni dou P. That is the term in the equation 1. So on right hand side, on the same differentiation, dou V by dou Ni at constant temperature, pressure N1, N2, N3, etc. And on right hand side, the value is, that is equal to Vi bar, that is partial molar volume. Now let this equation be 2 on comparing equation 1 and 2. In both the equations, there is a term, and the term, that is dou square G by dou Ni dou P, dou square G by dou Ni dou P. So on equating the remaining term, that is dou mu I by dou P at constant temperature N1, N2, N3, etc. that is equal to Vi bar. So that is variation of chemical potential with the pressure, that is equal to partial molar volume. That is the topic. With this, I want to conclude my lecture on the topic, third law of thermodynamics, Nernst heat theorem, and Gibbs-Duhem equations. So this lecture is more useful for second semester students of Bharatavasan University. In the absence of regular classes, these type of lectures are more useful for students. I wish all the students all success. I express my sincere thanks to all viewers, and also I want to get positive and negative comments from viewers. That makes me the future lecture in a better way. Once again, I thank one and all. Thank you.